He's got a legal meeting with Viscount.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we're already late, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll call the BOCC workshop to order. 1:33 on December the 8th. The purpose of this workshop is to discuss the 5-star certification framework that I think is still being proposed. I don't know. I heard some chatter about it's been adopted, but I don't know that for a fact. So with that, Mr. Jordan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Clint, I don't know that we have any official policies or procedures about documenting a workshop. To my knowledge, we've never kept a full set of minutes from a workshop.
Is there a need to take minutes or make a record of it?
Okay, thank you. So with that, I know Adrian went out to get his other glasses. So I don't know who. Excuse Dr. Brown, you can begin. If you want to wait, we'll just wait until he comes back in.
Yeah, I don't think you would probably be giving the COVID status, but bless you. I can. I sent you guys, all of you in the room here, except for Jordan, I sent a report for today. Did any of you receive that on your emails?
Oh, we were in a meeting this morning, so let me see.
I got it, but I haven't gone through it. I saw the top numbers clicked.
Okay. Yeah, there's a fair amount of information on there that I think probably, well, that's why I sent it. You might want to read through when you get a chance. It's not so much today's information, it's information in general, things that are being considered. In the meantime, I can just read off one new positive for this morning. Symptom-free patient tested this morning when she went in for surgery and found out she was positive. So our current total, even though it doesn't show that on Cedars, is 23 cases for the last 7 days. The queries that have been sending out to my regional director finally bore fruit today, and we actually received some report back, which was encouraging to me. However, it was just a report relative to Parkview Hospital. I had wanted to have reports for you for all of the hospitals that we are assigned to, essentially, since we have none of our own. And the Parkview is full. We have no critical care beds available at this time. However, case by case, they'll review it and say, okay, yeah, we need to put this person in. The same essentially is true of Thomas More. And last night, case by case, they put one of our people in and did dismiss him this morning. So they put him in for observation, not for severe treatment or anything, thank God. Yes, sir.
That's very scary because I know the news on TV, true or not true, but sounds like they're expecting decline to continue for quite a while till after the new year and then maybe start dipping again.
Even though it's already dipped, then they didn't project that. So
right. I'm just worried about what do they do with our folks here in Custer County if someone needs critical care and
yes, sir.
The hospitals are full.
Yes. Well, they are technically full, but not in actual practice. They can still accept critical care patients if that is needed. Okay, so we're not quite as strapped as the news media and broadcasters and so on would like to project it.
Okay.
But anyway, it is it is a concern. There's not even a little bit of question about it at all. We still have a few beds remaining available at Salida, the Rockies. So with our connection here with the clinic and there, it's much easier to get people in than just throwing them in and say, will you please drive up there and get admitted. So our medical providers here can look at them, including Dr. Stevens, and look at them and say, okay, I want my bed up there. You know, we have a patient for them. So I don't think it's quite as bad, but it is serious. I agree. It's sobering. We have to make preparations. And in that light, the preparations that we've been making have been to get it kind of in the system, and we have to accept the vaccines that supposedly, as soon as the FDA okays them, we can now accept and dispense.
You're gonna go through that tomorrow, right?
I
That's
can.
on the agenda. You're on the agenda to do that.
Okay, and that's
So
what I was.
what we probably ought to do for this workshop is
Okay.
get to the workshop.
Okay, sure. I was counting on having Charles.
Yeah, where is he? Because he's the guy that was,
I have no idea. I'm sorry, I
he
can't.
got the notice.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I gave you each, there should be at least 3 sheets there.
Yep.
Hopefully no more, but 3 sheets.
Yep.
Basically, you gentlemen had indicated that you agreed that a certification plan was probably something we ought to consider, if I'm not mistaken. And so when Charles showed up and we started talking about this, this is kind of what we've come to look at. The state is considering this 5-star program also, so that it becomes something that is more of a universal site. And what Charles and I talked about was developing a website so that anybody who wants to come into our community could know which businesses were certified as safe. And so they could hunt them down and they could see the sign on the door, and they have us kind of checking on things. And we've already gone through it once, but we would have to have a monitoring system, obviously, that would be continual. Okay, and glancing through this, since you gentlemen have not had this to kind of study for an hour or so, basically the businesses would be certified to have been implementing state guidelines. We would also then certify them as certified in our own local area, but the state guidelines, the local intervention, and having a plan on file with us. And so that would be somewhat analogous to any kind of buffet or in dining that people have been presenting from various organizations for the last 3.5 months. Please.
So
Go ahead,
Dr.
please.
Brown, is this restaurants only? But I don't think it is, because
No,
I
no,
see
no.
others. So you're
No.
just giving that
These
as
are
an example.
businesses. Yes.
Any business,
Yes, exactly.
meaning whatever guidelines.
Right.
Okay.
So if they're accounting, if they're hardware stores, if they're whatever. So for them to have the sticker on the door would at least give people some calm, some confidence. They would actually walk in the door. And of course, if they look in the door, no matter what sticker's on the front door and they see nobody wearing masks and they're all huddled together, they're not going to be going in anyway. And I hope my intent with this would be not to force somebody to certify, but to encourage people by seeing that the businesses that are certified are receiving more business. It just seems logical. So they would have to do the symptom checks. You can read through all of those things yourselves, but we would have, to me, I would, how you drive into towns and you see, or at least you used to, lists of the churches in the communities. Okay, I would envision something like that for our town. so that the businesses that they would kind of look up online would also have verification there as you're coming into town. And we, by the way, we have some positive, of course, had a few of the others too, but basically some positive comments on the signs that have been put in place. Okay, so even the gyms, as you notice here, personal service, you know, the going down to get your hair done as a woman or a barber shop as a man or this type of thing, your vacuum cleaner repair or something, all of those would be kind of following standards. Now, if they have been charged or found not to be responsible in following up in their control issues for health, then they would automatically be removed from being even having it even made available to them. On the second page, because you guys know most of the rules, I won't go over this yet again. What if, you'll see down below the chart there, what if cases arise in a community? When is the program suspended? And I'll just read to you directly. If the county reaches more than 90% of their entity's hospital capacity so that we're at risk, then the program probably is not going to happen. And right now, it can't happen essentially in our state. And if they reach red level metrics for more than a 2-week, remember I talked about, I need 2 weeks to make a decision on which way we're going post Thanksgiving. Then we would be removed just like anybody else would be any place in the state. So they gave a timeline here. Obviously, they're reviewing with Mesa County. They're at the very bottom of page number 2. By December 4th, review progress in Mesa, determine if it's compatible with the red level and so on.
So this is a CDPHE
Yes, sir.
doing this, and you don't know what the current status is for them.
We don't have it yet. You know, they haven't.
If they done
finished
step
yet,
4,
in spite of,
December the 4th.
yeah, in spite of some of these dates, it's not happened. In fact, there are comments and discussions even yesterday.
Oh.
Okay. And they were saying essentially this. So there are everything, all types of organizational machinations going on, even talking about last night at 6 o'clock, they were still talking about, you know, how do we roll this out and how do we make this public and so on. So things are not in stone. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'm a little bit confused. Is this a state program, a federal program, a local program, or is it just a proposal?
It's a proposed state program. Okay, now, if it's in another state, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that.
I didn't know that.
But the program would be state level, so people would have a commonality to observe when they drive into a community,
Okay,
which to me makes sense. You know,
Sure.
you know what to look for and you know kind of where to look, and it's on a webpage.
and this has not been approved yet by the state, is that correct?
This is not activated yet by the state, no,
Got it.
because they've not finished their trial run, so to
Got it.
speak. But I wanted you guys to know that there is a certification program because you did make mention to it and
Yeah.
said would kind of like to do
Yeah.
these things. Okay. And Charles would probably be a much better spokesperson than I am on this, but who knows? Anyway, there will be just this coming week, they plan to finish things up to review everything and then make some kind of proposals. Excuse me.
So
Yes,
this document that we're looking at, did this come from Mesa County?
no, this is from the state.
Okay.
Okay,
'Cause
they just mentioned, they will allude to, if you see on the bottom of the page, by December 4th, that's Mesa, they refer to Mesa County, but it's not from Mesa County.
To follow up a little on Jay's question, I did not talk to her, but Rose Puglisi is one of the commissioners over there who is pushing this, and it sent out a request for support. They wanted counties to sign that letter. And so my understanding was that Mesa County has come up with this idea. They're trying to get the state to adopt it and really trying to get the state to allow them to use it in their own county. So,
Well, I know, Tom, that we were doing some certification because we walked into a store the other day down next to the food market, and they had a certification signed by your previous director already up on the wall. So,
Like one of my law.
right, exactly. So it is not something that they came up with, but it is something they have kind of put a program around and trying to support, gain support for.
yeah, early on, that whole
Yes.
deal was,
That was
they submitted a written plan and
right. And the key to that one was just to make the public feel comfortable
Yes.
that the establishment they were going into has been trained and is promised to comply. It didn't allow them to have a variance, which is what this appears to
Yes,
be
sir.
to me, a way to move down a color code within these
Yes, sir.
parameters.
And that color code going down is not for the county, it's for the individual business to operate at that level,
Yes, sir.
even though the guy next door might be red.
which,
Exactly.
when I thought about it, I thought, man, that could maybe cause some issues, but if everybody is aware of the program and had an opportunity to get involved and didn't, then they're on their own.
That's right.
Personal responsibility, what a concept.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. I put number 5 on the front page.
What I highlighted.
Just knowing our county. I think if you say to people, if you'd like to come in my store, I need to have your name and contact information just in case. I think the pushback would be beyond belief.
Yeah, the must should be, would be nice if you could help us.
Well, if we put this into our county, we'd have to make some variances.
Have to tailor it.
Oh, yeah, have to
Or-
tailor towers,
That's one of the requirements of the store. You either do it or not.
or you
If
don't.
you don't,
And they'll say,
that's,
well, we'll ask. What if Flower says, I'm not giving you my information? At least then you ask,
That's right.
and some of them might,
but refused or whatever.
Yep.
I was thinking of the hardware store when I read this. My God, 150 people a day going through there.
Right.
Half of them, no, not half, but some may not even be a customer. They might be in there looking, pricing, couldn't find what they want, turn around, walk back out. I don't know, but yeah, I highlighted that as well, Jay. I also highlighted number 7. If they've been cited for non-compliance, then they're ineligible. Would there be a time frame for that? I know we're getting down into the weeds. Could they reapply after 2-week period or whatever? Or once you screw up, you're done?
And the state didn't say anything there yet, okay? Once again, this is just not well enough developed to be able to answer that question, I'm afraid.
so what are we looking for today then? Cliff?
Well,
Just a
yeah.
concept that we
Yeah,
want
the
to kind of
concept, if you
consider
guys are interested.
and then see if we can't develop what a tailored program for Custer County might look like for us to
Right.
consider.
Because we don't even know if this is going to be adopted by the state yet.
Right, and I guess that was my question was, is this something we're gonna wait and be reactive once the state decides if they're gonna adopt this? I don't see us going out on our own really and trying to do it without the state approving this whole plan.
Well, that's a good point for discussion because if we had a program that we sponsored to see how well we could get a business to do things and we could rate them as a Custer County rating, we could do that as an option. And then that might help us gain the ability to get variances a lot easier if we have decided to apply for one or something else before this gets implemented, something like that. You brought it up the other day, Jay.
Yeah, I don't mean to be a whiny, but these businesses aren't complying today with what they're told to do. I don't think you're gonna get them to comply to this either. I mean, you say with somebody, you're in blue or you're in yellow or you're in orange, and a big deal, my store's open and I don't really care. Do something about it. And we don't. So
Well,
I'm
this was
wondering if
the
there's a
thing.
lot of bureaucracy to
Right.
bring someone to a lower level when it really doesn't matter because they're going to do whatever they want anyway. I mean, it's just,
In
this
my,
is my frustration. I have.
yes. In my, okay, but what I said originally was that if people started getting more business because they were just not allowing everybody to come in, that people could look in and see that they're probably going to be safe, they've been certified safe. If that started to really resonate, started to get better business, then maybe we can bring some of the people right now who say, well, I don't care, it doesn't make any difference to me, into caring. So it made a difference
I
to them.
mean, I'm not opposed to giving something like this a shot. I think if the people who are running their businesses are truly doing the right thing and following the guidelines, and as a result, you're able to come down a level and it helps bring customers in, and it helps our business owners, I have no issue with this at all. It's just, I'm wondering if we're putting a low level of bureaucracy in here, because now we have to have someone who does a certification, who has to do the inspection, has to verify that they're doing the right thing, and then decide whether they want to continue getting the certification or not. That's a level of bureaucracy that I wonder if it makes any difference at all, since nobody, at least in my mind at this point, seems to really care what color we are or what we're doing.
Well, we obviously have some people who care, because I get a lot of phone calls.
I agree. The
You know,
bowling
but
alley
still,
and
but I
Ace
understand.
Hardware are truly trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
Alpine Lodge is another one. But most of the mom and pop stores don't seem to care. I mean, this is my observation. I could be totally off base.
I don't think you're off base at all, but I think if we can give enough incentive to make a difference for them in the bottom line on the dollar, that will maybe help them survive when they wouldn't survive otherwise, maybe. I'm willing to try anything right now.
And I'm with you. I'm willing to try. I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I'm just concerned that I don't care what color I am now and I run my business the way I want to. Is this really going to matter?
Understand?
So what are you proposing to do then?
Well, all I'm trying to do today is to get you kind of speaking on the speaking level, understanding what is being put forth, that perhaps could do what you gentlemen.
Do you want to wait for the state to finalize, or are you asking us to consider something in the interim?
No, I'm not going to produce anything in the interim. I want to let you know where we are right now, and to go ahead and let things ride. I mean, we don't have very long from now before the state has kind of obligated themselves on the 14th, I believe it is, to kind of put things together and to publish it, and then I can bring it back for you. But I didn't want you to be surprised and say, well, why didn't you tell me about this before?
Yeah, I was surprised that they're not considering tying the certification on the positivity rates in the county on the second page, what if cases rise in a community. Everything at this point has been tied to positivity rates. And I'm just surprised this isn't somehow.
And I think that it probably will, Tom. I don't foresee it just being turned loose and say whatever you want to do. But Mesa County is in red right now. And so that's the basis upon which they're being evaluated. Can you make this program function under those constraints?
Right.
So you don't know what the criteria is to certify yet. They haven't developed it.
No, it's not published.
Right.
Past what we have right here.
That's not really published. That just
No.
says, when is the program suspended?
That's right.
They don't know.
So anyway, something for you gentlemen to consider. And if we want to develop our own program, we certainly can. If we want to, so that it would be on, somebody just Google up Custer County and they would have something to look at and see which businesses they want to go into and if it mattered to them and which they didn't. A lot of the calls that I receive now for restaurants, for instance, are from people who come from outside, not people from inside. Say, boy, I walked in there and there are no masks being worn.
Right.
Okay, so if those people are coming in, and a lot of our economy is dependent upon tourists, that might be kind of a gold star for somebody to be checked off, so to speak, when they drive into our community and say, where can we go that's safe?
Well, I can comment. I really like the program, and here's why. It's not just that, hey, I don't like being in the color I am, so I'm going to change it on my own, like I feel the Board of Health has been asked to do before. Something proactive has to happen for you to get a reward. And it's not really a reward. You've made your establishment safer, so we're going to take, instead of the entire county going to a color, we're going to take your microcosm, your business, and go to a different color because you have complied. So conceptually, I don't have any issue with this at all, to be truthful with you.
Yeah, the proverbial phrase, credit where credit is due,
Yeah.
seems to apply here very well.
Right. And, you know, as busy as you and your staff currently is, administering this, it's going to be difficult. But if you're willing, I don't see any reason not to. Charles Vogel's calling. Let me.
Good.
Yeah, I
Hello, Charles.
prefer to wait and see what the state's gonna do with Mesa's proposal.
I'm certainly not proposing we do something today. This is informational.
I can't answer that, but I could put you on speaker. Hang on. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, we got you on speaker and we're all here talking about you.
I know. Candy was bad-mouthing me why I wasn't there. I was there. I heard it.
Okay, sounds good.
I've been trying to call in on the call number. I'm in Penrose and I don't have the internet, but I will give the doctor credit. He certainly related what I would have said accurately. So
Good.
To reinforce what he did, yes, this is an early part of the program. The reason why I felt that it was time to brief you all on this week was that there was a possibility of funding the effort in Custer County with some of the remaining CARES money.
And that possibility goes away fairly quickly.
That's right.
Now, you talk about the CARES money that was allotted to the county, or is this different money? This isn't the corona.
That's the only CARES money, the one that we're going to close out on Friday.
CBRF.
Yeah, okay, so, okay.
So Charles, what do you mean? Yeah, what are you asking
Developing the webpage.
to use that?
The thing about it is, in my communications with the state, there's no indications that there will be any funding to try to incorporate the 5-star program in any particular county. So I thought the one way that we might be able to do it is with a piece of the CARES money that we're looking at making disposition on this week.
But we don't have any idea what that cost would be, do we?
Well, I've come up with some cost.
You had to ask, didn't you, Commissioner Canada? Had to ask. All right, go ahead. Sorry for the interruption. I'm picking on you, Charles.
You're picking on who?
On you. I knew it was going to come around to money eventually.
All right, how much is this gonna cost?
I'm the money man.
That's right. That's right. How much we need?
If we're going to support it, and this is collaborated with the good doctor and it's a combination of public health for the inspection and such that, and economic development as far as working with the businesses and such like that. I've come up, if we did it for 12 months, would be $39,800. The more I think about it, I'm not sure that 12 months is really the desired period. But if we cut it back to 9 months, that would put us through the summer session the tourism season of next year, that would be more like 29.6.
And we're betting that the vaccine is going to stop it. And we think by the end of the summer, we'll cover it, right? So six months sounds
I agree,
reasonable.
Bill. But, and two, if it, either way, if it's working out, if the 5 stars working out, figuring that there would be somebody, if it's necessary to continue it, that we'd hopefully have some other funding alternatives.
When we're talking about funding here, if I may break in, is hiring a person to create a website
Yes.
and maintaining that website through that period of time with any kind of adjustments that are needed to be done. And probably to also hire somebody to go around to the businesses and monitor and answer questions and just be kind of a general manager of that particular activity. Is that
was
properly?
based on what the doctor and I talked about the other night about possibly hiring some nurses part-time for those that would check, the health issues.
So to utilize the CVRF money, it has to be a previous expended item. Are you thinking of circumventing that by including this effort in the small business grants?
Either that or we'd have check with DOLA and see if it can be possible to fund it out of the existing balance of the $434,000.
Which could be.
You're right. But from what I understand about the small business and any of the 8 that the state just approved, I understand someplace I've seen that would be open for county application effective the first of the year, but that wouldn't be authorized until I believe I heard February.
Yeah. So if the CVRF committee and or some other business agreed that it's worthwhile pursuing and attached a dollar figure to it, I'll use you as an example. Let's say that the Economic Development Corporation said, yeah, we'll, I don't mean this literally, you'll get my meaning here in a minute. We'll implement this. We write you a check for X number of dollars, submit that for reimbursement to CVRF before the end of that program. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
That's the approach that I saw as far as being able to, because we don't know what else is coming up, and assuming that CDRF money is the only money we really know of today.
Right.
Well, let me ask a question on process then. We don't know how long it's going to last, excuse me, and we have to spend it now to get it. So what are we asking to be reimbursed for? $39,000 for 6 months or whatever it is?
Not reimbursement, it'd be a grant.
Or is it a grant, or is it, I mean, if it's spending the COVID money we have,
Right.
you gotta invest in it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought we would either expend it now or include this into the small business grant portion at the end of the
It's the only
program.
way you can do it unless he brings us receipts.
That's right.
That's right.
That's the only way you could do it,
That's the problem.
The county would have to show that we've already spent the money to someone
unless we did it as a grant.
unless we do it
That's
as a
right.
grant. That
Correct.
was my point.
I
So,
agree with you.
Yes.
Now, I'll tell you, may I? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've really hung my hat on the excess money that we have, the business grants that have been discussed in our meetings, to me, is very, very important. I mean, that one segment of the business industry of Custer County has suffered severely when other businesses just, ignored it and, did whatever they wanted to do. So I don't know. I'm very torn about taking the money away from that segment that we've talked about and earmarking about a third of the money we have left to go to this project.
Okay, let me put a little different perspective on it, Jay.
Okay.
Is the fact, and I agree with the restaurants, but if we got approved for this, it would allow the restaurants to function at one level lower than what the state calls for the county. So, and right now, what they're looking at trying to confirm with Mesa County is even if they're red, then could they be authorized if they're certified to function as orange?
Yeah.
So if we stayed orange, then that way our restaurants could function at
Yellow.
what is it, yellow?
Yellow. Yeah.
And,
No, I
and
fully understand.
also realize too that since we talked last in the meeting, they've approved this retention of the state sales tax of 2.9% for 4 months.
Right.
So that is going to be
Well,
a considerable relief. Yeah.
Charles, I fully get what you're saying, and I understand how this program is kind of laid out on paper. And what the difference is on the restaurant specifically, if they go down a notch, a color code, depending on the come, that more people will be able to come in and spend money, as opposed to a grant where we write a check and hand it to them and say, here, continue operating, because you're teetering or whatever, you've lost so much. So, I mean, this is just a philosophical discussion I'm having with you. I really want to put money in the hands of the restaurants.
So, Mr. Vogel, I would be remiss if I didn't take exception to a dollar figure that you threw out in your or my lifetime. So, I guess it kind of depends on, do we buy into the 6-month timeline? Do we buy into a 12-month timeline? I think in a roundabout way to address Jay's concern, if we took X number of dollars out of that CVRF money now and earmarked it for this program, a portion of that would be used to help restaurants, right? Not directly, but if this program works, then they would
lower their color, which allow them to hopefully get more people in. But it's not an immediate fix.
No, that's right. And our money we're going to give them is not going to be an immediate fix, but I get what you're saying. So
our money's not lasting very long either. This would potentially have a longer impact, better impact if we invested in this program.
What I'd like to propose would be, after we honor our current plan, which is to vet the applications we get and approve whatever ones we feel are eligible, maybe we pick a percentage of that remaining pot that we can all agree on. I don't know.
Well, and then the 6-month program you mentioned, Tom, that he talked, it would be half that price, right? In theory, that's 20 grand.
Well, it's not a flat line, Bill, and the fact that we've got some upfront, the website is
got his best in.
the website's $3,700, and then the maintenance, and it's the doctor's got data coming in that requires a daily update, and that's $250 a month to maintain the website. So we've got, if we commit to any of it, there's some upfront costs, so it's not linear.
I get it.
I cut it from 12 to 9 months. And in that time frame, and then probably if we wanted to cut it back, the better thing is 6 months could very well be before summer. And I think, this would really help most during the summer schedule with out of town visitors. But
Yeah,
if we month off of it, it's about $3,300, and that's a level of effort to public health, the website, and general support of the program.
yeah, originally I was gonna argue 6 months, but you're right, Charles, the timing, we kind of need to get through the summer because that's when a lot of people could be coming to the valley saying, hey, where's a safe place to go get a drink? Where's a safe place to eat? Where's a safe place to shop? So,
And you're right, it is front loaded, and so we don't save much by the other 3 months coming off. So that's okay.
yeah, I'd like to reserve the right to have this conversation after Friday. Our only deadline on Friday is to pull the curtain on accepting new applications. The committee can decide how to distribute any remaining funds after Friday.
Right.
Which to me makes sense. We're not gonna know what the funds are until after Friday.
True.
And it may drag out.
I knew with the way our dialogue was going, obviously we would have the remaining claims, and then we'd be looking hard about splitting whatever the balance was amongst the restaurants. So that's why, with what information we've got, and in truthfulness, there may be more information out of the state. By Thursday, I've got a good communications with one of the people in the governor's office, and that was the last thing I asked was, is there any idea of any grants to support local implementation? And they said no.
Right. Well, I would think this is a conversation probably really for that committee, but I don't know how else we could do it other than to say we're going to give Economic Development Corporation a small business grant of X number of dollars to help implement this program. We can't give it to the restaurants. We can't give it to public health. We can't give it to OEM as a small business grant.
There would be two components of cost, and one is to public health, and you're right, to economic development as far as supporting the business side of it.
Right.
There's going to be overseeing the website and in the collaboration with the businesses to convince them that they should be involved in.
Right.
And it is a volunteer program as the businesses are concerned.
Right.
Was there any discussion about utilizing the county website and creating another page in that website specifically for this certification?
Well, I'll let the doctor mention that. I noticed that there's been some modification to the county's website, but the idea is that, I'll let the doctor speak on the comments we had the other evening.
Okay.
But it was good to hear an option. I don't know.
It would be nice to have something that is purely state that people could just click into when they went through Pueblo, when they went through Penrose or Canyon City, and then, let's go over to West Cliff, Silver Cliff. And so it would be something that would be common for them. They wouldn't have to try to hunt and find our individual website, but something on a commonality basis seems like it would be more easily used, and people talk about.
So if you Google 5-star,
that's right.
You get it.
That's right. Exactly.
Custer County.
So that sounds like it would be a statewide website with which each county having
A link.
here are the restaurants in
Yes, sir.
Custer County
Right.
that qualify for 5-star.
And we know that people are Googling while they're driving, so I'd like to make it as easy as they possibly could.
All right.
I don't like it, but that's the way
That
it's
makes sense.
done,
Yeah, it is.
So it would definitely be an option versus creating a local website and then publicizing 5-star Custer County 5-star ratings or whatever.
I'll put it this way: the couple or three webinars that I've sat through, and they're pointed at economic development chambers, and they've been giving us the state level prognostication as far as the hills and the valleys on this. And then you'll see a certain amount of trickled into the news, but there's discussions, apparently comments that the governor likes the MESA program. They're looking at the possibility of making a statewide program, but you know how fast that happens. They're asking for comments on that one of the two links I gave you on that message. They're asking for comments on the rules, but God only knows how long it's going to take the state to make a decision on it.
Yeah, which brings us,
And the immediacy that I saw is, knowing what we know today, the only money we've got is that CARES money.
Right.
So,
right, and I don't believe we're gonna get any clear direction from the state as to what they're gonna do by Friday.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kind
they'll
of a,
probably have another, they've been having Friday afternoon webinars that status things, but I agree.
Well, that's why.
And I had feedback from the guy who hosts the Friday meetings. I had that yesterday, and I asked him, you know, if there was any possibility that the state was going to put any monies out if they brought this statewide program, and he basically indicated that wasn't mentioned yet.
Did he drop off?
you still there, Charles?
I'm still there.
Okay, Bill had a comment.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that Jay and Tom both kind of evolved and merged, and that is, we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna allocate the money, we wanted to save some, and we wanted to make sure our restaurants got enough to make a difference. And we could keep our eye on, because we know we're not gonna get an answer before Friday. And just as long as we know it's coming down and we earmark what, it's not $30,000, it might be $20,000.
We don't know.
We don't know, front end loaded here, and see what money we got and see how it fits.
Makes sense to me.
Well, and I think, you know, and it's certainly guessing. Even if we had something to get something started, and it's going to take a while to get the certification from the state or the county, and then it's a process of getting the businesses. We can get the website up relatively quick, and the chances of some additional fund. You're right. Part of the new legislative has some small business, which I saw someplace that will be funneled through the counties. So, you know, there's potential for additional monies.
Well, I was counting on a large, generous donation by the Custer County Economic Development Corp in the March timeframe.
Good luck with that.
Hold your breath.
Apparently, you haven't realized our financial situation with economic development.
Let's say, I kind of took the wind out of your sail for a second.
It's a long silence there.
I'll put it this way, it's still depending upon a lot of volunteer, no cost to the county or any town's money. And we're getting close to having to cut that off. We're
Right.
about to lose our Main Street Wi-Fi system. And, well, anyway.
Well, I can tell you, I'm not opposed to this, the basic plan or some kind of a funding mechanism, but that'll have to be decided in a CBRF committee meeting. We're not limited to stop functioning on Friday. And on a one-time thing, we could probably talk the finance department into dealing with a handwritten late in the ballgame, but there'll be a date, a drop dead date somewhere where she's gonna say, no, we just can't do it and get it through. So,
Well, I did want to make it aware of. I agree with the idea that, in fact, I think the distribution I made on the initial messages included both Paul and Buck, with the idea that everybody that's on the committee would be involved. There may be more information by Friday, who knows? But that certainly gives us a forum to discuss it, and we'll obviously be closer to knowing what the final numbers are.
Right. So another process point, I suppose if the decision was made to move forward, I'll just use this for an example, but county could pay economic development X number of dollars, and then the county seeks reimbursement from the CVRF for that based on, we believe it would be eligible for reimbursement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what we.
Yes.
That's what we've been
Yeah.
talking.
Other than that, I just don't know any other way to go about it, really. Unless you spent the money and then submitted a receipt.
One other complication, I mean, it's an administrative thing, is Dr. Brown is looking at a certain degree of overtime within public health. So it's whether that goes directly to public health or through the CCEDC, that's devil's in the details.
Right.
Well, if we had a manager of the program, don't you feel that most or all of that additional overtime at public health could be eliminated or would be eliminated?
Yeah, that's just an extra cost.
Yeah, I understand. I'm with you. And I think what you're.
I'll put it this way, the precedence that there is such as this, in Mesa County, they had public health do the testing, and the certification process was done with public health, and the chamber there then did all the other stuff as far as supporting the businesses,
Okay.
websites, things like that. And kind of taking that model is what I did as far as splitting of task and monies.
Got it. Well, I'm not opposed to a two-tier method where the restaurants get some money and some money is earmarked for a program like this, because in the long run, it'll help them also. I just want to help them in the short run if I can. That's my biggest concern. I know of at least 2 restaurants that have told me they're right on the verge of going under, and one of them is a very prominent restaurant here in town, and I'd hate to see.
Well, they need to be aware, if they aren't, of that 2.9% sales tax that they're going to be able to retain for 4 months.
I understand, but I don't think 1% sales tax is going to make a heck of a lot of difference with the 2%. Yeah.
Is
But it's
that
2.9, and I'll tell you, with my SBDC experience with some of our residents, that's a whole lot more than what their normal profit margin is for some of them.
was that approved by the legislature
Mhm.
in their last little rushed meeting
Yes.
session?
Yeah.
I knew they considered it, but
Yeah, that was approved, and it's, I think it's as simple as they just, instead of sending their money in to the state like they normally do, they just keep it.
right, yeah. And 4 months is the timeline. I had not heard that either.
I read that in an article, yes.
Okay. Well, I'd suggested let's postpone this until the 11th. We can have this same conversation in that CVRF meeting without Paul or Buck being here. It's going to kind of have to start over from square one, but it would be nice if to have their support as well. But
I think we need to.
Well,
Okay.
they're closer
We can't do it.
to,
Okay. Well,
I think they're closer to the restaurants. They know that, and I agree with what Jay's comment. A little. It's kind of if all we were going to do was a one time, but the long term effects of this, we don't know how long it will be, and with the idea of at least having it covered during the summer session,
yeah,
I think we've had guidance.
it's kind of,
yeah,
I like the program for sure.
there's no strings attached to that small business grant program, so they can take that money and go Christmas shopping. At least this
Yeah.
way, we know that there is a 6 to 9 month plan to hopefully have a positive impact for those who are willing to meet the criteria.
By the way, man, maybe you said it, Tom. What's the timing on that small business grant? Did they get it applied for and
Well,
paid for by the middle of what?
there's no application, there's no nothing. If the committee votes to give out those small business grants. We just do it.
Right.
They don't.
And if any of y'all have got any contacts, Pueblo that's what I heard. I mean, they're pursuing this 5-star aggressively. And I've talked to a couple of folks, but it's apparently the mayor's office over there that's really pushing it.
Okay, well,
Well, we can't make a decision, but we sure can agree to the process. And so we're gonna meet with the CARES committee and discuss it.
That's tomorrow.
And I
Friday.
think, in the worst case, if the 5-star program did not come to activation, we could still have an understanding of what the intent is, and that if the 5-star didn't happen for some strange reason, then still had the instruction that the money, once that decision was realized, would still go to our businesses.
yeah, I thought too, Charles, if, let's say the state doesn't move forward with this program, they pull the plug on it, and we've got X number of dollars committed to it, could we institute a local program and just take out the moving from one color to the next and just use it as a certification, a placard in their window?
I love that idea too.
Sure could.
Then,
Yeah.
That's what I was
and
suggesting.
then we just pull out that going from one color. That would, to me, that's the only thing that really ties it to the state. The rest of it, we can decide as a county to say, we're going to promote our businesses by giving them recognition for doing a good job.
Sure.
And I would support that.
Then we could put it on our own website and say 5-star or whatever.
Right.
Call it.
Yeah, 5-star businesses in a 5-star county or whatever. So, yeah, I don't
But I'll
think.
tell you what, when Mesa gave a briefing on this week before last, the head of OEDIT was there, and she's generally at these meetings, and she indicated that they were really looking at it to be a state program.
Right.
So unless they find something that they haven't stumbled into yet, my only concern is how long to study it
It's probably,
and make a decision.
it sounds like we could do it, we're agreeing in concept, whether state sponsored or not, because we can still spend the CARES money for our own.
Right, we just wouldn't be changing the color code,
That's exactly
which,
right.
which in my mind, many businesses don't pay attention to anyway.
That's right, and give them the flexibility to see that it's advertising, actually.
Right.
Yeah, it's just-
We're helping advertise
Right.
your compliance with the requirements that Dr.
Sure,
Brown has
sure.
put out.
Right.
Which hopefully will match the state or be close to it.
Or even better than the state, we can say
I think if you read it, if
more than
if
comply.
the county has to has to present a checklist, and the words they have, I think it's like compliance. Let's see, what was it? It was basically at or better than what the state criteria is.
Right.
And then there's also a business can be certified, and then if I use the term backslide, if they don't stick with the guidelines, then that certification can be pulled.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, let's roll this into the CBRF thing. I think the other thing we're gonna have to do is get Braden on this and see if he can get some direction from DOLA about what's gonna be eligible and what's not.
Right.
But I think you're right in that call it the business grant.
Right,
And if, from the indications are that is kind of unstructured as far as specifics go.
correct.
And,
Yeah.
and especially if DOLA is thinking that this, their opinion is that it probably will go statewide, that's the likelihood of it being a reimbursable expense, I think would be good.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I think probably Christie, at a bare minimum, is gonna be somewhat familiar with this proposal from Mesa to the state, so shouldn't be a foreign language. So I would think we ought to ask ready to follow up on that. And maybe we make a decision on Friday to earmark X number of dollars. I don't know. We'll just have to see what the committee wants.
See what it looks like.
Well, I'll come with as good information as there is at that time. I guess on y'all's part, would it be good for Dr. Brown to be that meeting also?
He's always welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always welcome.
No reason why not.
I mean, when the first discussion we had, I told him, if public health and economic development, looking at public health and looking at the business side of it, if we didn't agree that it was something that we shouldn't pursue, well then, it needed both of us positive, or it was not
Right.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, I would guess on Friday, we will probably go through all the applications and then have a discussion afterwards, because then we'll have an idea of the dollar amount we're looking at. So
That would seem appropriate, yeah.
yeah, okay. All right. Well, we'll move forward then. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for looking at your text, big fella. Charles.
Looking at my text,
Yeah. I'm
well,
with
figure out why I was yelling and whistling into the phone.
that.
Get through to y'all.
Well,
So,
I apologize. I saw that you had called my number as well, and I had my phone muted, and I didn't realize that you had even tried to call, so I missed that. as well.
Charles, I took care of you. Don't
I
worry
was
about
going
it.
around the table, yeah.
Yeah, your boy Prince, he's
I took
worried
care of
about
you.
you. I can tell you that. All right, thanks, Charles.
Thank you all.
You bet.
Have a good day.
You bet.
Okay, anything else?
I'm good. It's a good program. I like it. I
Uh,
like it whether we go down the colors and do it ourselves,
Either way.
or either way, I like it. I like giving an incentive to businesses to try and do something good, and we're gonna do advertising for them if they do.
Yeah, it is. It's
And help them.
positive reinforcement.
I like
Telling you what you can't do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a proactive move. Again, we don't need any more bureaucratic layers than absolutely necessary, but we may have to create another layer, because I don't think it'd be fair to
No,
either of these offices.
We're
to
not
take
gonna
that
stick
by
it on Dr.
themselves.
Brown or our IT guy to do the website. That's just not right.
Okay, very good. Anything else to come before the workshop? Hearing none, we will adjourn.